Hello, this is Wendy Richards, and today we're going to talk about resumes. We're going to start with a template that you can find on thomas.edu. If you look under Career Development and you look in Prepare Your Application Materials, this one is called Resume Starter Basic. You can open it up and there will be a Word file that shows up that you can actually edit, and it looks just exactly like what you're seeing here. The first thing that we're going to do is look at your heading. This is actually where you can start to kind of pin down your brand. Think about what you want it to look like, be a little bit artistic, but still make it easy to read. You want to make sure that you have all of your contact information up here, and use this heading for all of your application materials. So you'll want it on your resume, you'll want it on your cover letter, and you'll want it on your separate sheet of references. Now, some of you might have been taught to do your heading in a slightly different way, where your name is in the middle at the top, and then you've got your street address below it, and then underneath that is your phone number, and below that is your email. That is called the pancake. And you don't want to do the pancake because it's seen as old-fashioned and it can be an age marker. And we don't want people to think that you're older than you actually are. So if you do it more like this and you keep it to 3 lines-ish, then you'll be conserving on space, and you'll have more space below on the sheet to put your information. You do want to keep it at 1 page if possible. Once you get out into the world a little bit, you might have a little more trouble doing that, but there's all sorts of different ways that we can change this to make it work. Some things you need to keep in mind are: do not have less than 0.7 margins around your document. Otherwise, it gets looking a little bit like you're trying to fit things on there. Also, make sure that your font is a minimum of 10 to 11 points. Otherwise, it gets hard for people to see it. The whole point behind a resume is for an employer to be able to look at it and quickly scan it for necessary information. After you have done your heading, come down and do your summary. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do resumes, and there's a lot of different templates out there. I like this template specifically for college students or other people who maybe their work experience doesn't match their educational experience. Maybe they have worked in retail or in food service, but they want to be cybersecurity specialists. So they're going to college for that degree in cybersecurity, but they don't have the experience. They don't have the job experience down below. The summary gives you a place where you can convey to the employer relevant information about what kind of a job you want, why you're a good fit for it, and maybe why you're passionate about pursuing that field. Think of it like a 3-sentence cover letter. You also get to put in skills that you might not identify down below. A lot of times when I'm taking students through how to do the summary, and there's an art to it, and it can be a little tricky, I have them do the rest of the resume and then come back, because you don't know what skills you have already used down below in the experience and what skills you still might want to include in the summary that haven't been mentioned elsewhere until you've finished the stuff down below. So let's look at one of the spots that's a little bit easier, and we'll come back to the summary. Education. If you're one of our students, this is mostly already filled out for you, which is great. If you are not graduated yet, but you expect to be maybe this May, maybe next May, you can put that down. That's really important because employers want to know when you're available. This part right here, spell out Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice or Bachelor of Arts in Education. If you don't have a minor, you don't have to put it down. If you have a double major, put both of these down. I would list them on two separate lines. If your GPA is 3.0 or above, include it. If it's not, don't include it. I won't tell them, you won't tell them, unless, of course, you have to report it on other application materials. You can also bring the GPA up over here if you need more room down below for work experience. A lot of students want to leave in their high school information. Don't. A lot of times when you're applying to a job, they have separate application materials that are going to ask you questions about high school. This is a quick scan document on your resume, and you want to keep it up to date with things that are relevant. And the most relevant thing you're going to have right now is your college degree. You can, if you have some special training or certifications, put that in this section as well. I also sometimes like to add if you've been on the dean's list or the president's list because you've had an extraordinary GPA, you can actually put that right near the GPA because it's part of your education. One of the reasons why education is in this area on this resume is, again, we're keeping the relevant stuff up on top where it's the first thing the employer is seeing. Once you've been out in the world for many years, the education part might slip to the bottom of the resume because you have more relevant work experience that you want to highlight, and maybe you want your work experience to be higher on your resume. All right, let's talk about work experience. You want to start out with the most recent job first. When it's talking about employer, it's talking about the name of the organization, not the person. You want the city, you want the state, you do not need the street address. You want the month and year you started and the month and year you ended. Or if you're still working there, you can say current or present. Here's a spot for your job title. If you're low on room, you can actually move this to in front of employer. There's more than one way to list what you did underneath your job. I like bullets, but that's not the only way to do it. The reason why I do like bullets is because it makes things faster to scan for the employer. And when an employer only spends an average of 6 seconds looking at your resume, we want to make sure that they can find what they're looking for. So, the important things to know about the bullets: start with a verb, an action verb. You're trying to paint a picture without being too wordy. You're trying to list skills, not necessarily tasks or duties. Sometimes I have students who have been sandwich artists at Subway. There's nothing wrong with that. That comes with a whole load of transferable skills. But a lot of times, because they don't have a lot of experience filling out a resume, they get bogged down in the duties. I made sandwiches. Or they put down excellent customer service. Okay, but how did you do that excellent customer service? You want to think about the things that you do differently, better. What about what you did makes a difference? If I'm presenting to a classroom and I ask them, how many of you are able to provide excellent customer service? The majority of hands go up. And I tell them, look around the room and now tell me how you're going to set yourself apart in your resume by using something other than excellent customer service. Maybe you greet customers with a friendly demeanor. Maybe you handle stressful situations, or maybe you process orders quickly and efficiently. Maybe you listen to customers and try to problem solve it with them to make sure that they are satisfied. Maybe instead of sandwich making, you are following processes and procedures. Something that I ask people to do when they're thinking about skills, transferable skills, is to look at the job description of the job you're applying for and find the words in there, the description of what they're looking for. If they want professional communication, you've probably communicated professionally with your customers. If they want organization, well, you know what? You probably have demonstrated organization in food service, in retail. Think about how you might have done that. Maybe you found a more efficient way of processing orders. A lot of these bullets have to do with how you did something. What was it that was meaningful about what you did? How did you do it? And if you have statistics, tell me about the statistics. If you know that you increase sales by 10%, put it down. That's great. If you were made Employee of the Month for providing solutions or always being ready to answer questions, write it down. If you're currently in the job and you want to keep your verbs at present tense, you can do that. I like to keep everything in past tense, but that's just me. I don't like periods at the end of bullets. They're not sentences. If you are putting periods at the back of every single bullet, a lot of times I don't touch it because I think of it as stylistic, because I know that if you are wanting to do that and it's become automatic, if you go back later and adjust the resume, you're probably going to put bullets back in, and I would rather have it just be consistent. Something that you'll want to do when you're writing your bullets. You'll want to go to that job description. Again, pull out the verbiage in there, pull out the lingo. If they're saying clients, maybe instead of customers, you want to say clients too. If you're going into, say, law enforcement, maybe you want to highlight your ability to follow processes and procedures because that's something that they're looking for. If you're going into something psychology related, maybe you want to concentrate more on those people skills, the communication or the helping, the listening, that type of thing. A lot of times I get asked about how many jobs you should put in or how many bullets. When you're first starting out and a lot of your work has been summer jobs, it's okay sometimes to have those gaps. It's okay to concentrate on the ones that are the most relevant. If you have a job that you think is very old, very irrelevant, and you want to leave it off because you have other things that are better, that's fine. Sometimes I get questions about if you had different jobs at the same employer and how to fit that into a resume format. Say that at Thomas College you worked as a service desk staff person for these years, but you started out as something else. You can put that something else right below and put the corresponding years over here, but keep the employer part the same on top. And you can integrate the bullets to cover both positions. That way, if the jobs are very similar, you aren't repeating yourself and again using more space on your resume than you need to communicate your skills. If you are writing your bullets and you find that you keep using the same verb or the same phrases over and over again, mix it up. Find something else. A different way of saying what you did, a different part of what you did that you want to highlight. Do not just keep saying the same thing over and over again. If there's a particular skill that was better highlighted at one of your jobs than another one, just use it for the one where it's best highlighted and think of something else for the other job. As far as how many bullets, that really depends on the job. If you have a job that you did a ton of amazing things at, it's going to have a lot more bullets than one that was less complex. With a less complex job, you might only have 1 or 2 bullets, and that's okay. Let's go to extracurricular activities. These are most important when you are showing leadership skills or participation, showing that you're a well-rounded person, or sometimes people have experience either in a club or some other organization that they're working for, doing something very, very relevant to the job they're applying for. Here's where we can highlight some of those things. The way you organize this, again, from the most recent to least recent, you can put in what it was, where it was, when you did it. This one bullet describing what you do. If you did something or participated in some way that, again, is relevant to the job, definitely put a bullet in. But see the section where it says ice hockey club and then it says participate in practices and games? If you're just a member and all you did was attend meetings, I wouldn't necessarily put a bullet there for that. But see where it says co-captain? Maybe you want to put the co-captain over here in front of the ice hockey club. I'm really concerned about space when we're writing these things because I really want you to have enough space to say what you want to say. Volunteering. Amazing things to put down. It shows that you're community minded. It shows that you are altruistic. You care about other people or pets, or you have a passion that's outside your work. It makes you more well-rounded. Something that keeps popping up when I talk to students is they might have helped with an event. They might have organized. They might have planned. They might have done some of these detail-oriented things that apply to the job that they are wanting. And this might be the only place where they can really say how they did that. So you definitely want to put those in. You can add more sections if you want them, but don't get too many sections in there. Everything should have a purpose. Everything should be strategically applied to that job description and what the employer is looking for. One of the things that I do is I put the internship in with the job experience. Again, not everybody might do this. but I find that that is a good place for it to go so it doesn't get overlooked on the bottom of the page. Technology is one of those majors where I always recommend having a section, usually above education, that highlights your skills. For other majors, those skills are going to be found in your experience, in your extracurricular, in your summary, but for IT specifically, I say make a skills section. Make it bulleted. Make it a couple of columns, and that's where you put those languages, Python, C++, all of that code, languages that you know that that employer is seeking. You want them to be able to find it as easily as possible. So I would put it right here. The reason why, again, I don't do that for other majors is other majors, employers will tend to read more of the document and not be expecting this section. But IT folks, tech folks, cybersecurity folks, they're expecting a section that shows exactly what you know as far as your hard skills. Okay. So now you've filled everything out. You've got your education, you've got your experience, you've got your extracurricular activities if you have some that you want to put in. We're going to go back to the summary. We're going to see what you're missing. What do you know how to do through your education that you might have learned that's different than what you've had in your work experience? What applies to the job that you're looking for that you haven't already covered? Why do you want that job? And what made you interested in it in the first place? A lot of times in templates, you'll see examples where it says objectives instead of summary. That's old-fashioned. It's not used as often, and it is an age indicator. Another age indicator is using 2 spaces after your periods. You might not want to do that. An objective simply states the job that you're looking to apply for. A summary, or a professional summary, does a little bit more. Like I said, it's a mini cover letter. Think of it like that. It's how you communicate, even if you don't have a cover letter, to that employer, what you're applying for, why you want the job, what jobs you're looking for in your field, what skills you have that apply directly to it, what you're especially talented at doing, why are you passionate about that field. This section can also be used on your LinkedIn profile, as can your bullets for your jobs. LinkedIn is kind of funky in that it doesn't really give you a good way to put in bullets, but you can go back to your resume and you can copy and paste these things directly into the description on your profile, and voila, you will have bullets. The other thing I want to talk about is once you're done preparing your resume, you are going to have a much more professional way of talking about your skills and how they apply to the job you're looking for. That summary, that's sort of like the elevator statement that you can quickly tell employers why you're looking for the job you're looking for. You're going to find that after you've completed this, like with your cover letter, you're going to be able to answer those interview questions a lot easier and faster. I always suggest when you go into that interview, take a copy of your resume with you so you can reference some of those things if you get a little shy or you can't think of your answers in the moment. This is a reminder sheet of what you've done that's amazing and different than other people and has set you apart. Again, professional career development is a lifelong benefit of Thomas College. Your career advisors are divided by majors to help you specifically in your area. As a student, as an alumni, you can always reach out to us and we will always help you. Thank you. And if you're doing this for Guaranteed Job Program credit, send us a copy of your resume so we can look it over and help you maximize it. Thanks for your time.